No! That's fine.
Hello?
Pat, are you out of your f***ing mind?
This ain't no place for no hero.
Put the razor down.
Dan? How'd you know I was shaving? Did you put cameras in my bathroom again?
That's not important. You know how Lindsay feels about facial hair. If you shave off the beard, then I'm gonna have to shave off the beard, and then pretend like it was my idea in the first place, and then she's gonna get mad, and there's just gonna be endless ending.
I'm gonna shave the whole thing. Just, leave a mustache. Doing Space Police. I figured police. Mustache. I don't know.
And you thought this would save your obviously underwritten video.
I'm hanging up now. Tell your fiancé I say hi.
Oh, is that Pat?
Yeah, it's him.
You tell him that if he shows up here with a mustache, by the time I'm done with him, he won't be able to hold a razor.
Oh, he knows. Disaster averted.
This ain't no place for no hero.
That got dark pretty fast. I mentioned it before a couple of months ago, but my current favorite song is called Dying for an Angel by Adamans. It is an awesome power metal song with great lyrics, a fantastic chorus, great vocals, and a guest appearance by Klaus from the Scorpions, one of my favorite bands. It's also the brainchild of this man, Tobias Sammet.
Never, never dies! Never, 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 never.
Hobbys sind Fahrradfahren, Briefmarken sammeln, Kleintierzucht.
Oh, dieser Song ist für die Frau, die ich liebe. Gibt's gar nicht.
He is one of my favorite frontmen in metal today. He has a seemingly endless amount of energy, a great vocal range, and his most notable contribution to the world of heavy metal is that he's the co-founder, singer, and primary songwriter for Edguy. And now an incredibly brief history of Edguy. Edguy was formed in Fulda, Germany in 1992 when all four founding members of the band were just 14. The band's first official release was Kingdom of Madness on AFM Records. Since moving to Nuclear Blast, they've recorded a total of 10 albums to date, not including 2 live releases. Tobias Sammet has stated that the band plays angry, powerful, sometimes tongue-in-cheek metal, and that's pretty much it. If I had to describe Edguy in one word, it would be entertaining. Not always great, not always groundbreaking, but always entertaining. While I can say without a doubt that Adamans puts out better music, I listen to a lot more Edguy. And there's probably a technical reason for this, but I think it all comes down to this sentence.
Screw that psychological mambo-jambos, I just likes to laugh!
There's always been a certain layer of fun and humor icing the cake that is Edguy's career, as evidenced by some of their lyrical themes, music videos, and just all-in-out randomness in some songs.
Nothing!
Nothing, yeah, nothing! Helikopter!
Tobi!
Hä?
Ist gut jetzt!
Gut.
To me, the band's always been worthy of more than a few listens, from their earliest album I own, which is Vainglory Opera, to my favorite through my college years, Tinnitus Sanctus. I haven't really hated a single thing from them yet. My least favorite, if I had to pick one, is actually their previous release, Age of the Joker, which, aside from Robin Hood, I just don't think was that special to me. But I had my hopes up from this one from the minute that I heard the title. Space Police, Defenders of the Crown.
Man, the police! Not now, Ice Cube!
If that doesn't get your mind just racing with possibilities, then you're not a true power metal fan. I immediately thought they were going to do an album about Lego playsets or something. Hell, an entire album maybe about the Alliance from Serenity.
Am I a lion?
What?
I don't think of myself as a lion. You might as well, though, have a mighty roar.
I said Alliance.
Oh, I thought...
No.
That's weird. Where's your sister?
College. And in keeping with Tobias's unusual and original sense of humor, the build-up for the album was really fun to watch. They posted some cryptic messages on Twitter, and they said that they'd be revealing the album artwork for this baby 1 pixel at a time. Which means if they had actually lived up to that promise, we'd get that album cover in its entirety about 2 weeks before hell freezes over. And then they release what the final artwork would be, and Dear God, yes. 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 So much yes. It's so intentionally bad, and it looks like Axe Cop battling a face hugger. There's probably only one more visual that excited me more than this past year, and for that, a demon had to crawl out of the goddamn earth to fight the Ascension. I'm as ready for this as I'm ever gonna be. So let's look at Edguy's latest album, Space Police, Defenders of the Crown. The first single off the album was Saber and Torch, which is the first track, and a lot of people found it odd. Not because it's bad or anything, but mostly because it's a pretty straightforward, harsher tone power metal track than the fun-loving Edguy fanbase is probably used to. The riff actually sounds to me a lot like the stuff off of Halloween's last release, and I like that well enough. The solo is really good too in this. It actually reminds me a lot of Tinnitus Sanctus, which admittedly was a lot more hard rock than metal influence, but this has a harsher tone than I was expecting it to, and who knows, maybe this is going to be a lot more serious than we gave it credit for. Nope! Just in case you forgot what this album was called, there is a catchy, dumbass track that talks about running from the space police. The song is pretty good. It's got an awesome chorus. It's one of the more memorable tracks on the thing, for better or worse. I like it, but I found a few things pretty annoying, like the random space noises just thrown out like they sound like they're from an Ed Wood movie.
Someone will pass you in the dark, and you will never know it, for they will be from outer space.
And the bridge to the song is confusing, to say the least. That settles it. I'm convinced the entire reason this was made, the reason why this is the title of the album, is because Tobias got drunk and started trying to sing the X-Files theme song. I was actually kind of surprised to find this out. Defenders of the Crown is not the second part of the Space Police. They're not affiliated with them in the slightest.
Countless childhood dreams planted for the world to see. What a show!
Supposedly the only reason why the album has both titles, Space Police and Defenders of the Crown, is because they liked both names and couldn't decide. Can't say I blame them.
We're defenders of the crown, and we also reach monsters.
The song itself isn't bad. It's not really one of the more memorable ones, but still pretty fun. It's definitely the single Maidenist song on the entire release, which is saying a lot considering that half their songs are Maiden references and half of them are dick jokes. And I suppose I'm being nitpicky with the sound here, which I think is probably my job, but this song emphasizes how low the guitars are for a lot of this release. The background noise almost sounds like it's trying to force its way to the front, and the sound suffers a little bit. Not to say that your mind doesn't go elsewhere with some of the other songs. As the months have passed and I've had all this time to think about it, this is my favorite song off the album. From what I've read, Love Tiger is supposedly supposed to reference Tobias himself. I don't know whether that's a self-imposed nickname or one that he's gotten over time, but I'll tell you what, you decide for yourself whether you find it's appropriate.
They call me Love Tiger, I'm gonna save your soul. Never mind, Love Tiger, I'm gonna save your soul.
So So why is this my favorite track? It's far from the heaviest, it's not the most technical, it's probably not the most well-rounded, but it's just a fun song. It got stuck in my head almost immediately. I also like the implication from the chorus, which is catchy as hell, that not only is he going to love you, his love is going to be your salvation. That is probably the ballsiest pickup line I've ever heard in my life. And I'm no German rock star or anything, but screw it, maybe I'll try that out. Give me a little while.
2 hours later.
Okay, that's 3 restraining orders in one day. New record. Now, as much as I like Edguy, I am aware that the band has a few flaws that are a little distracting the more songs you hear from them. There are basically 2 types of riffs you hear from these guys. One is easygoing stadium rock, almost like a modern-day Scorpions song. And then there's a faster type, which reminds me of more than a few thrash bands, probably most obviously Iced Earth. And the last one is found in Realms of Baba Yaga. It's still enjoyable, but it's a little distracting the more songs you hear from them. I actually thought halfway through my first listen that I'd accidentally put it on shuffle because I thought it had moved right on to Nobody's Hero. For the record, I like Realms of Baba Yaga a lot more. And I am really biased towards Age of the Joker. But I know you're asking, can we have something completely unbelievably stupid right now? It's Edguy. Glad you asked. As a connoisseur of ridiculous metal covers, this is right up my alley. And this needs to be said too. Falco's Rock Me Amadeus is one of the dumbest songs I've ever heard in my life.
Ein Punker unterriebte in der großen Stadt. Es war in Wien, war Vienna, wo alles tat. Hatte Schulden, denn trank, doch ihn liebten alle Frauen. Und jede rief, na kann man Rock Me Amadeus.
It's one of those songs from the 80s I will never understand why it became popular. Like anything Kenny G made in the history of ever. Or, oh, Mickey, you so fine. Like, why would enough people like this for it to become a smash hit? I don't know. But it is perfect for Edguy. I might be wrong on this, but I think it's kind of weird. In Edguy's entire career, this might be the only song they've ever performed in their native German. It's a surprisingly good fit for the group. It sounds like it flows a lot nicer, and the little bit of heaviness that Edguy brings to it is necessary in order for me to like a song like this. That or a Simpsons parody.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas, oh, Dr. Zayas.
Speaking of which, I want to thank Dan for not only being in the intro for this video, but also for taking part in the single dumbest text conversation I've ever had in my life.
Can I play the piano anymore?
Of course you can.
Well, I couldn't before.
And the award for song I thought I was gonna hate based on the title but ended up liking a lot goes to... Yeah, I thought this was gonna be pretty awful. But it's kind of in line with Lavatory Love Machine, where you pay attention to the lyrics and it's a lot funnier than it's letting off.
Walls come down and down on ghostly voices set up crazy mouths into the night.
You probably think it's a lot like a warped love song with very direct lyrics, but that's what the twist here is. It's not. The song is about somebody trying to sleep in a hotel and hearing awful sex in the next room.
You don't have a choice but lie awake to verify. Did you really say now to me? Do me like a caveman.
It's not the best song on the album, but the riff with the small piano accents is a good touch, and the lyrics are really goddamn funny. It's especially great if you want something that's, on the surface, is a generic rock love song, and then has something kind of snuck into it. Pretty much the opposite of a Steel Panther song.
I'm gonna throw my load at the glory hole. Throw my load at the glory hole.
Yeah, they are about as subtle as a brick to the face. By the way, All You Can Eat was amazing. Check that out.
I'm digrateless when you wanna make me feel that I belong right here, right now.
This shouldn't really be much of a shock. I don't like this song at all. It sounds like a horrible Phil Collins cover with worse lyrics, and I'm saying that as somebody who is genuinely a Phil Collins fan. Listen to this and tell me that you can't see this fitting perfectly in the background of a Disney film.
And I don't know my way. And no sign of salvation.
There is just no meat to this song at all. It's filler. It's nothing special in any way with the exception of a few choral parts, but it's lost in the fact that the rest of the song is pretty crap. I skip it every time.
Into the well of devil joy.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really enjoy it when an album bookends itself. When the first and last tracks are really strong and give you a good feeling as you enter and leave the listen. And Eternal Wayfarer is a good way to cap this one off.
Breaking the edge. Countdown to zero. Chasing the afterglow. Oh.
I think it runs a little too long, but what's good about this is great, and what's bad about it is passable at worst. In fact, it reminds me a lot of their older song, The Piper Never Dies. It has an awesome solo, too. There were a few good solos in this album, like the one on Shadow Eaters, which as a whole didn't really have much going for it, but this one was my favorite. A really good way to end the whole thing. Alright, I think I've talked about how much I like this band enough. Let's get to some nitpicky stuff. Here's the good, the bad, and the ugly. For the good, this is pretty much 100% fun. It's an incredibly enjoyable release from start to finish, with just a few hiccups here and there. Some of the song themes and lyrics are really goddamn funny, and the songs are pretty memorable for the most part. I'd consider Love Tiger and Do Me Like a Caveman to be two of my favorite Edguy songs of the moment. And I even like the cover of Falco, which I tried so hard to convince myself not to like, because the original was so dumb and weird. I couldn't help it. It's like Teresa's cover of Rasputin. The fact that it exists is funny enough, but the music makes it that much better, which is a sentence you could probably use to describe Edguy's entire career. For the bad, I got the limited edition for this one, and I don't want to seem like this is a cop-out, but there's not really a lot added. It just has a few instrumental versions of the bigger songs like Space Police and Love Tiger, which, don't get me wrong, made it incredibly easy to edit this stuff, but other than that, the progressive version of Space Police sounds almost identical to the original. And Achim in Hysteria, I don't know if that's a cover, but I really didn't like it at all.
You got enough her. That's what you told the masses. It's sweet.
It must have been a B-side or something. It sounds like it belongs in the trial separation part of a romantic comedy. There is one thing worth listening to from the limited edition, and that's a song that's a tribute to the greatest country on earth. At least, according to Tobias.
It's been a long time since I've been with you. You may be gray-green, but matchless and wine.
This was actually one of the first songs I listened to on the album. I accidentally put it on shuffle for my first run-through, and I thought it was hysterical how they build up the whole song to pretty much one punchline.
I may like New York, Bavaria, or Paris, but nothing compares to you, England, 'cause you got the magic bullet. England's got Steve Harris.
God bless you, Steve. Anyway, for the ugly, I have one simple question. Why wasn't this a concept album? I thought this was going to be, and with a title like Space Police Defenders of the Crown, I was more than a little disappointed that it turned out to be just another Edguy album. I know concept pieces are really more Avantage's forte, but Tobias's writing with Edguy's sense of humor could have made for a really fun listen. Maybe they knew Devin Townsend was working on another metal concept album about space and aliens and stuff. They didn't want to oversaturate the market, but it actually would have been a little needed considering, I didn't actually care for Z2 that much.
That's impossible.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Sorry. Actually, the website Metal Underground put out an April Fool's joke when the album was still in production that it was going to be called Defenders of the Clown Prince of Crime, and it would be an entire release with songs about the Joker. Don't you want to listen to this right now? I mean, I'm grateful for what they did, but god damn it, I really want to hear an Edguy Joker album.
It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
Edguy marketed this album as the heaviest the band has ever composed, and I don't see that at all. What I do see, however, is a catchy, enjoyable metal album that I've gotten a lot of play out of these past couple of months. The songs are well constructed, they stick with you, and they range all over the place from aggressive and fist-pumping to mellow and humorous. In other words, it's everything I've come to expect from an Edguy album. It doesn't seem to take many chances and instead relies heavily on its influences, but it doesn't compromise the band's overall sound, which makes it an easygoing listening experience. If you want groundbreaking power metal, you should check out the newest stuff from Iron Savior and Freedom Call instead, but if you like it laid back a little bit, then Edguy is probably what you're looking for. It's not their best, it's not their worst, it's cool. Pick it up for yourself and you can see why I love these guys so much. Well, that's all I gotta say about this one. Until next time, subscribe to my channel, check out all my other videos, and remember, life is too short to listen to bad music. Oh, and like me on Facebook.
Damn. Maybe I should keep in that I said bitch line.
I was going to threaten his hands, but I like he won't be able to
He needs those to masturbate.